Hello, Master. All love and praise to the universe within me and without me. Spirit, guide us tonight in learning everything we need to know about spiritual mastery and about ourselves as masters on this planet, in this paradigm, in this particular experience. I'm calling upon all my universal help, the crystalline kingdom of the 33rd dimension, Mother and Father God, the source of our creation, the Andromedan Council, the Arcturian Council, the Pleiadian Council, Archangel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Jophiel, Archangel Raziel. Assist us with this reading and this healing session tonight. Calling on Ascended Master Saint Germain with the violet flame of transmutation. Calling on Master Jesus Sananda, calling on Master Osho, calling on Master Buddha, calling on Master Mother Mary and Mother Kuan Yin for grace and mercy. Calling on Mother Gaia Chaitanya and her twin flame Gondolin for assistance with these readings tonight. thank you, thank you, thank you for your assistance with this reading tonight. Hey y'all, so happy new moon wherever you are. The energies are here. So we are needing to manifest what we want. So calling in what we desire. That's the general vibration of the new moon. It can also be about releasing. I always look at the full moon to be when things come to fruition, and the new moon to be about releasing. But there's a little bit of both of those energies in each moon from what I felt in my experience. Okay. So I'm going to do this reading for the masters tonight for you, because you're a master if you're watching this, even if you don't think you are. And I just want to explain a little bit about what I did here. So the money that I showed you, that was $7.77, if you didn't pick up on that. But that was the change that I got from the store today. And it just kind of stuck with me. Like when I saw it on the register, I was like, okay, so everything is in its place. Everything is right. $7.77, okay? So if 777 means something to you, just take it to heart. And just take it to heart for yourself. Because I'm feeling like there are quite a few of you out there who understand that. Not just the meaning behind the angel number, but the meaning behind the synchronicity. I also showed you guys two pictures. One was a picture of my cousin who recently passed, and he dealt with some of the same things that I'm dealing with in my life, and I was just drawn, like, I want to say it was probably a little over a week ago. I was drawn to just put his picture on my altar. I had been asking Spirit for a while for the picture of an ancestor, of one of my ancestors, who I would feel comfortable enough calling on for assistance. Unfortunately, that was my cousin. I mean, I guess I can't really say unfortunately, because I feel like when we leave this place, we go home. We go to the truth. So I'm very glad that he's in a better place, but it is still sad that he's not here with us physically. But the simple fact that he went through a lot of the stuff that I'm going through in my life, that's why I feel so close to him and so drawn to him. Even in his life while he was here, we had just started, me just growing up, we had just started like relating and talking to each other, and then he had to go. So he is always here with me, and he was a very spiritual person, and I'm glad that his soul is resting from the turmoil that he dealt with on this planet. And of course, I showed you the Master Osho. I had to dig through the deck to look for him because he is always here. His energy just reverberates throughout my being and my existence and my experience in particular. Okay, so there's our symbols. We are doing the reading for the masters tonight, and I've got 5 questions here. One of these questions I believe I can answer without the cards, and that's, what is spiritual mastery? So spiritual mastery is getting your soul and your spirit, because they're 2 different things. Meditate on that. Spiritual mastery is getting your soul and your spirit to a point where you understand the oneness, and it neither affects you in a good manner nor in a bad manner. Good and bad is relative, so take it however it resonates with you. But spiritual mastery is almost like, it is a balance. It's a balance, and it's, according to the Osho deck, according to Master Osho, it's transcendence. So transcending our bodies, transcending our earthly societal thought forms, transcending paradigms, even transcending dimensions. And if you need to know a little bit more about transcendence, transcendence is basically overcoming, and not conquering, but overcoming, getting yourself to a point of such deep understanding where meditation is no longer required. It's no longer necessary. You can meditate up until the moment you die, but there may come a point in some journeys where meditation isn't necessary because every moment becomes a meditation. Thank you, Master Osho. And I felt that one. I felt that one pretty deep. So, remember Master. Master's in training, because I'm a master in training, which is the same as a master. So even if you are a master in training, you're still a master. Don't feel guilty about this journey. Don't feel guilty about where spirit is leading your thoughts, because your thoughts can become a trap, but they don't have to be a trap. There's always a way out of that trap. And mastery has very little to do with thinking, if anything at all. It has almost nothing to do with thinking. Spiritual mastery is not about thinking. I know I just kind of de-escalated that, but some of you needed it. But spiritual mastery has nothing to do with thinking. Thinking and thought forms, that's a part of this earthly third dimensional paradigm, and some fourth dimensional paradigms, depending on where you are and depending on your experience. We all have a different one, okay? So I'm going to go into this next question. Do our souls ask to be born and come to earth? Spirit. Okay. So I've got this receptivity card. So, do our souls ask to be born and come to earth? We are open when we come to this earth. When we come to this planet, we're literally like open books, or like, the only thing that I keep seeing right now is on Pulp Fiction. If you're familiar with the Quentin Tarantino film, Pulp Fiction, there was this suitcase that they never show you what's inside the suitcase, but every time they open the suitcase, it's like something in there is glowing, and everybody's face like drops, like, wow. That's how we are when we come to this planet. So we're open to receive anything. Why are we open to receive anything? Because we come to this planet with a purpose. Usually. There may be people who come here just for kicks. It depends on your experience and your paradigm and your soul journey and path. But a lot of us come to this planet open in order to help, and we come here for specific reasons. So there are some souls that come here that do ask to be born. And then there are others who come here just to have an experience. So in a way, that person who is just having an experience, they're asking to be born as well. And for this question, we also got this rebel card. If you're familiar with traditional decks, this is the emperor in traditional decks. And this is power. This is like physical power no matter what. So that, of course, is the rebel. And this is indicating to stand in your power no matter what. Now, pertaining to this particular question, this is also a yes, and this is actually a really good confirmation, because we come to this planet, first and foremost, yes, asking to be born and needing to stand in the truth of who we are. There are plenty of people who come to this planet and completely forget this until that last moment. And there are some who come to this planet kind of knowing, and then they learn more about standing in their own power and standing in their own truth later on in life. And there are other people, which is happening more and more nowadays, especially if you are paying close attention to how these children are coming out and how they're interacting with the world. More children are coming to this planet with purpose, remembering that they have something important to do, remembering that they have a mission and a purpose to fulfill. So, to answer your question, Lay, thank you for providing the question. Yes, we do ask to be born to come to Earth. Now, there are so many different belief systems, and there are belief systems that don't believe that, and that's understandable. It's understandable, that it's understandable that it could be hard for someone to really grasp the fact that we plan some of our lives before we come here, because we do. I did a deep meditation at some point, I think like maybe last year or this year. It was last year, where I did this deep meditation, and I asked Spirit, and I accessed the Akashic Records, which if I remember, I'll talk a little bit more about that later. I want to remember, so I'm going to write it down. But there was a point in time where I did this deep meditation asking if my life was written, if I had written my life, or if my life is just up to chance. And surprisingly, I got a number. Spirit told me that 17%, right? Like, why that number? I don't know. But it's always been that number every time I ask. Spirit has told me that 17% of my life has been written, and the rest is up to free will. I do have a mission. I do have a mission and purpose in this life. I have quite a few. I have an overall mission, and then I have smaller missions that I need to fulfill. And also underneath that, I have these soul contracts that need to be fulfilled or cleared or, whatever, healed. So that's my number. For some people, it may be more. For other people, it may be less. I think I'm rambling. I can talk about this stuff all day. But 17% of my story has been written. And the rest of it, I have to kind of make it up or go along with it. All right. So, as far as accessing the Akashic Records, I'm just going to touch on this really quick. As far as accessing the Akashic Records, we all have access to this. And if you're one of those people who is having a hard time meditating, you still have access to this. There are different ways to access it. With me, nowadays, I access it so much, it's as simple as closing my eyes and saying, Spirit, Akashic Records. But in order to get to that place, there has to be a level of trust that you have with yourself and with Spirit. So I'm just seeing that guidance card, which is basically collaborating with Spirit and collaborating with your angels and guides. And that's a part of it. Asking is a part of collaborating with spirit and with your guides. So simply asking to look at the Akashic records will show you something. It'll show you something. There was a point in time where I did a meditation and I was like in a floating library. That's what it looked like. It looked like an eternal floating library, just books everywhere. And I was like floating, and I floated over to this book, and it opened up, and there were a bunch of formulas in it. And these formulas, like, I was just reading them very fast, and they were being downloaded into my brain, into my being or my DNA, wherever that information goes. But that's one way that I access the Akashic records, and that was earlier on in my spiritual experience. But again, using discernment, that discernment overall is going to be what guides your spiritual journey, especially on the path to mastery. Okay? So, does everyone have the power to become a master? Let's see. Does everyone have the power to become a master? Totally. Yes. No matter what kind of chaos is happening. In fact, chaos is a part of the mastery, because you have to know how to deal with chaos in order to be in a state of balance and in a state of transcendence. Master Osho actually touches on this. He said something like, I saw a freaking awesome meme about it the other day as well. Silence is the only truth. So if there's, no matter the chaos, and those of you who have heard me use this deck, that's the sign behind this card. No matter what chaos is going on around you, be one with it and learn from it. So despite any chaos that you deal with, yes, we all have the power to become masters. And this is a big factor in mastering. This is something that I'm still working on, you guys. I'm not perfect. Those of you who are out there thinking that I'm like, I know a lot, but I don't even feel like I know enough. I feel like I need to know more. Okay? So integration it's almost detrimental. It's detrimental to spiritual mastery. So anybody who can integrate can become a master. Anybody who can bring their body together with their spirit and their mind together with their heart, anybody who can do that can become a spiritual master. Now, I'm not saying that in every single life you'll be able to do it. There are some lives where it's necessary for us to not be spiritual at all, because that is all for soul growth. But there is a way for us to all become spiritual masters in these bodies and in our souls, period. Ascended Master Saint Germain was not always an Ascended Master. He was not always an Ascended Master. Any Ascended Masters were not always Ascended Masters. They had to go through soul growth, and there is no one way to do it. There is no one way to do it. You just got to do it the way you do it. Right, Dino? He's smiling at me. Okay. If we, and this was a really good question, thank you, Michelle. If we remembered all of our past lives, would it interfere with our life experiences / learning lessons here on Earth? Okay. So if we remembered all of our past lives, would that interfere with our lessons here on Earth? And this came out again. So first and foremost, the simple fact that we've got this synchronicity going on, the simple fact that this came out a second time for a completely different question, brings to mind the idea of chaos. Despite the chaos of past lives, because remembering past lives can be very chaotic. I know when I first started remembering my past lives, it was chaotic. It shook up my whole system, and I was like, what is this? What is going on? Why is there a big sword through my heart? You know? And the first time I experienced a like a past life regression, like it was live, like my eyes were open, I was fully awake, and I kind of just went into this trance, and then I was seeing like all of these events, you know, up that led up to my death. If you if you came to this planet knowing every single thing that you had done in your soul, if you had come to this planet knowing every single thing that your soul had ever done, it would be chaos, and it would be very challenging for some people. It would be very challenging to acclimate yourself to this world, to this society, to this particular paradigm. But that's not saying that you wouldn't be able to acclimate. General mastery reading. Okay. But despite whatever chaos remembering your past lives would bring, despite any of that chaos, it would have a specific effect on your experience, because knowing all of that stuff, it would either be painful, it could bring a lot of joy, it could bring some sorrow, because maybe you had a different kind of life, maybe you had a more rich kind of life in another life, and then in this life you're poor, and it may just bring on that depression even more. It could even bring on some kind of psychosis. I am not a doctor, and this is not any kind of medical diagnosis, but this is just what I've picked up from the energies and from my life experience in particular. So the question was, and I want to make sure that I'm answering this because it was a really good and deep question. If we remembered all of our past lives, would it interfere with our life experiences / learning lessons here on earth? It would. For some people, it would be chaos. And for some people, that chaos would be okay because they learned from it. It really depends on the soul. Can we clarify, Spirit? It fell right out. Let's see. Oh, we got two. Oh. And another synchronicity. There's a 5. There's another 5, y'all. And there's another 7. 777. Might change today. Okay. So, chaotic as it may be, if we did remember all of our past lives, it would affect the way we show our true selves. For some positively and for some negatively. And the feeling is that if we did come onto this planet knowing everything about our souls, some people, again, would be okay with that and acclimated to it. And, you know, depending on the soul journey that you've gone on. And those people would be able to express their truth even better. But then there will be people who, the people who do remember this stuff, whose souls are kind of younger and not as acclimated to aligning with earthly customs. It might be a little challenging for those people. It might be challenging for them to express themselves. In my experience, I'm always going to go back to my experiences. This is why I ask you guys about your experiences, because I learn from not only my experiences, but I learn from your experiences as well. But in my particular experience, I was born with like the majority of my third eye open. I think my son, he was fully open when he was born. And being open like that, it caused me to, like, at first I was very out and open in the world and friendly and stuff. But then as I started to go on this spiritual journey, which I've been on for about 10 years now, I think 10 plus years I've been on this spiritual journey, ever since I was 19 and I heard the voice of God whispering in my ear. It's been hard to acclimate with the normal stuff, you know. Some of you that know my story, like it was never easy for me to just have a job. Like even from my first job, when I quit my first job, it was just strange, like because I didn't understand why everybody was acting the way that they were acting. And you know, but any person who was born maybe with their third eye a little more closed, you know, the way the other coworkers were acting, it would have been normal and it wouldn't have been a problem. But me, I was just so sensitive and I felt everything that it just became a problem. And from then, it was just hard to hold a job. And that just speaks, again, that just speaks to walking in your purpose, finding your purpose. And it took me a while to find my purpose, but I found some of it and I'm still working on it. And there was another card here. And even being born knowing all of this stuff, our experiences would be different. If everybody was born knowing all of their past lives, our experiences would still be different. Some would react in one way, others would react in another way, and it really just depends. But to answer the question, Michelle, yes, it would interfere with our life experiences and lessons here on earth. Okay, what's next? I think, oh, I'm almost done. Did I really answer all those questions? One more question, and then we're done. How do you know when you've reached your highest potential? I love this question so much. It's a really, really good one. How do you know? Thank you, Relly. How do you know when you've reached your highest potential? And I saved this question for last because this brings us back to the balance. Because highest potential, first and foremost, highest potential is relative. But highest potential can come spiritually, and highest potential can also come physically. So again, it depends. It depends on you. But let's see, what are some signs, Spirit, that you've reached your highest mastery potential? Okay. That call to action. It's that judgment card. Okay. When you, wow. See, I'm learning stuff. I'm learning stuff too. But when you hear that call to action, when you feel the pull, oh my goodness. When you feel the pull of your soul, when you feel or hear the pull of Spirit saying, do this, do this, do this, this is the way. Synchronicities abound. That's this card. This is the call to action. So when you feel called to something, that's when you've reached a height, not the highest potential, but that's when you've reached a height. That's when you've reached a peak. Any of you who are reading The Light of Sex, that's that I don't know which number. I think it's the third triad, but it's the peak. Once you go up the mountain and you reach enlightenment, then you go and travel back down the mountain, dark night, and then travel up a mountain, and you know that's the cycle. But hearing the call to action, that's like a peak. That's like a climax in your particular journey. So that's one way to know that you've reached your highest potential, when you hear that call to action, when you hear that call to purpose, and especially when you feel it. I'm being drawn to this person on this card with their eyes closed. So they're not seeing anything. I don't see their ears. They may not be hearing anything, but they're feeling it. They're feeling the call to action. They're feeling the specific butterfly effect for their life. They're feeling like this is happening to me for a reason. That's one way that you know that you've reached your highest potential spiritually. Physically, you'll know you've reached your highest potential. And again, this is going to differ for everybody, but this is a general mastery message. Physically and even mentally, because this is a mental card, you'll know that you've reached a part, I guess, a part of your highest potential when you understand that your burdens and all of the hard and heavy things are not burdens at all. They're literally only learning lessons. That's another way to know that you've reached your highest potential when things just stop bothering you. Not every single thing, but when certain things stop bothering you, when you can look at a mountain and say, "Oh man, what an awesome journey." When you can look at a mountain, that's when you know that a part of you has reached its highest potential. Also, if you are a person who looks at a mountain and says, "Ugh, that's a big ass mountain," or "Oh, that's going to be tough," then you may not be at your highest potential. And those are just 2 examples. Many more. There's many, many more. When there's no need for you to compromise yourself anymore, that's another way that you've reached your highest potential here on planet Earth in your spirituality. Got another synchronicity here, guys. 6 and 6. Mind and body. Clouds, rainbows, mind and body. So when you no longer compromise yourself, when you no longer sabotage yourself, because some of us are famous for self-sabotage. I know that was a big problem for me when I was younger. And when you're able to make these promises to yourself and stick to them, that's always the general message of this card in this deck. And when you're able to give and receive without any pushback. That's actually the general message for the traditional tarot of that card. That's a charity card, giving and receiving. So that's another way that you have reached your highest potential. Another way for you to know that you've reached your highest potential. Also, when you're able to drop your guilt, when you're able to loosen those binds, because this is your 8 of Swords, 8 of Clouds in this deck. 8 of Swords in traditional decks has a woman, she's like tied up and she's got these swords around her, but she can get out. So she can get out of that trap. When you realize that all of the bad that's in your life has been brought on by your energy, and you can drop the guilt for that, and you no longer feel guilty about the negative things that have happened in your life, that's another way you know you reached your highest potential. So transcendence. Transcendence is meeting your highest potential. Also, when you understand that you have everything in existence that you need, no matter what, when you can understand that in every moment, that's also another way that you've known that you'll know that you've reached your highest potential, spiritually and physically, or either or, however it resonates with you. Okay. Well, I think that was kind of fun. My voice is shot. I went 38 minutes. Awesome. I really hope that you guys got something from that. Please feel free to comment whatever resonates with you, or if it doesn't resonate. You know, I love feedback either way. You can like, share, and subscribe. If you got something from this, video, if you got something from this reading, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I want to try to do this every month as a part of my revamp. December 12th, guys. Wednesday, December 12th. I'm still doing it. I know we didn't do readings yesterday, but I'm still doing it. It's going to be a better time period next week. Much better than this week. I don't know what Mercury thought it was doing with all the energy that's been going on this past week. But anyway. December 12th is the premiere. I want to do this every month. Surprisingly, I didn't even realize that this landed on a new moon. But why the hell not? Why not do it every new moon? Let's see how it pans out in my world, because things always change, the energies always change, and I'm okay with it. I'm done fighting it, fighting changes and fighting the energies and fighting structure and organization or lack thereof. I'm just done fighting it. It's better for me to go with the flow. I always encourage that whenever you feel like you should go with the flow, absolutely do that. But for those of you who are structured and organized, there's always going to be a time and a place to be structured and organized. And there's always going to be a time and a place when you need to go with the flow. So we'll go with the flow, and we'll see if I remember to do this next new moon. Maybe I should just put it in my calendar. I think I'll put it in my calendar. And I'll see you next new moon. All love and praise to the universe within me and without me, Spirit. Continue to guide each and every master watching this video and watching this reading. Continue to guide them to where they need to be, what they need to do, who they need to talk to, and what they need to do in order to fulfill their mission and purpose in life, and in order to attain a level of mastery that is comfortable for them. I love you guys so, so much. You have a beautiful moment. Sorry, I had to kiss him again because he's just smiling at me. Have a beautiful moment, and I will see you guys next week.